Hello, friends. I am Rebecca, 12 years old, and this is my father, the owner of one of the largest import and export companies. As for my mother, she passed away during childbirth. And my nanny took care of me since I was young because my father was always busy. My story is somewhat strange, but let me tell you what happened from the beginning. One day after finishing the school day, I returned home, and as usual, my clothes were not clean. I went quickly to my room to change before anyone saw me, but Cheryl saw me and said, "Oh my God, Rebecca, your clothes are dirty and torn every day. I won't stay silent anymore, and I'll tell your father to go to school with you and see what's going on with these girls." And where is my father in all of this? He's busy, and I only see him once a week. Tell me, Cheryl, are all fathers busy with their children like mine, or is my father the only one who's always busy with work? Cheryl hugged me and said, "Relax, my dear. Your father is a man with a lot of work to do." But he has a daughter, Cheryl. She has the right to see him and talk to him, especially after the death of her mother. Okay, calm down. I'm with you, and I promise to tell him about it. No, don't tell him anything, and I will go to sleep. Have your meal first, then go to sleep. I'm not hungry, Cheryl. Leave me now. Cheryl left my room without saying anything. I changed my clothes and began to cry about what was happening to me. After an hour, I heard someone knocking on my room's door. "Leave me, Cheryl. I told you I'm not hungry." The door opened, and my father came in saying, "Why don't you want to eat? Is something bothering you, my little one?" "I'm not hungry, Dad. I want to sleep now. Is there anything that's making my little one sad? Tell me." I didn't speak, and my father said, "I finished my work early, so I came to have lunch with you." I said happily and forgot what happened at school. "Is that really true, my father?" He nodded, saying, "Yes, my dear daughter." While we were having our meal, my father said, "How is school going, and how are your friends doing?" I stopped chewing my food and was about to cry. "Everything is fine, my father, don't worry." Before I could speak, his phone rang. He answered it and then closed it and said, "I'm sorry, my dear. Finish your meal, and I have to go to the company now." "But Daddy..." I didn't finish what I was saying, and he left quickly. I left the dining room and went to my room, crying about what was happening to me. I whispered before I fell asleep, "I wish you were in my place, Daddy, to feel what I'm feeling now." The next day, I woke up to the sound of screaming. I got up from the bed quickly and realized that this was not my room. It was my father's room. I remember very well that I slept in my room. I snapped out of it when I heard the screaming again. I ran out, and the sound was coming from my room. As soon as I entered, I was shocked by what I saw. I hurried out and found Cheryl, and next to her was me. Wait, how is that possible? I looked in the mirror quickly, and here was the shock. I was in a body that wasn't mine. What's happening? I don't understand anything. How did this happen? It seems that there has been a body swap, where you took my body and I took yours. But how did this happen? This is impossible. I don't believe what's happening. Tell me what happened from the beginning. I woke up to Cheryl's voice and found myself in your room. When I looked in the mirror, I was shocked to find that I was in your body. My father finished his speech, and I remembered the wish I made before going to bed last night. I decided to keep it to myself and not tell anyone. What should we do? I don't know. I have a lot of work today and many important meetings that I have to finish today. That's all you care about, Daddy. All you talk about is work. What about me? How will I go to school? Today is the day of my exam, and I can't miss it. My father was silent, and Cheryl said, "There is no solution other than Rana going to your work and doing it for you, and you going to her school temporarily until we find a solution to what happened." That's impossible, Rebecca. You don't know anything about my work, and I'm afraid you might do something and destroy the company. I don't agree either that Rana will take my exam instead of me. Maybe she'll make me fail. Cheryl said with patience, "This is the only solution. You have to trust your daughter, and she has to trust her father. Let's do this for today until we find a solution." "Okay, I'll tell you some things about work, and if something happens, call me to tell you what to do, okay?" "Okay, and you also make sure to answer every question, and if you don't know something, tell me." "Okay, we agreed. Let's go." My father left me in my room and went to his room. I quickly chose a good suit, put it on, and left the room. I found my father waiting for me at the dining table. I sat next to him and had breakfast with him while he told me about some things in the company. I left and got into his car, and the driver drove us to the company. I can't deny that I feel scared about what happened and what will happen. I hope the day ends well without any losses. We arrived at the company, which was huge and gigantic. I felt tense, took a deep breath, and walked confidently towards my father's office, where I had been to it in the company more than once, so I knew where his office was located. I sat in the office and took out the paper my father wrote for me, which included his tasks and what he would do in order. I heard a knock on the door, so I allowed the person to come in. A young man in his mid-20s entered and said, "Sir, the delegation that wants to contract with us has arrived and they are waiting for you in the meeting room." I became very nervous and asked him, "What's your name?" He was shocked by my question and said, "Sir, I'm Albert. Don't you remember me? I'll tell you something and you must help me without telling anyone or else I'll fire you." He nodded fearfully and I told him everything that had happened, and he had signs of horror and fear on his face. "I didn't tell you so that you would be afraid like this. I want you to help me." "Okay, I'll do my best to help you." "Agreed. Tell me where the meeting room is." He took me to the meeting room and I started doing my father's work. Albert helped me a lot in the company and I was really grateful to him. My father called me from time to check on me. After a long and tiring day of work, I finally finished and said goodbye to Albert and thanked him. I got into the car and headed back home. I met my father sitting at the dining table, and that's when I remembered when I used to wait for him, and he was always late. I sat next to him, saying, "I did exactly what you told me to do, Daddy." He looked at me with tearful eyes and said, "I'm sorry, my daughter. I didn't know what you were going through at school. I found out that you have no friends and are alone at school and you're bothered by things your classmates do to you. But today I stopped them and made them regret what they were doing to you. I'm sorry for misjudging you, Daddy. Your work is really hard, and what happened was definitely beyond your control. Don't apologize. No matter how hard and tiring my work is, you are my daughter, and you have the right to sit and talk with me every day. I promise you that I won't leave you alone again. Let's have dinner because I'm hungry." I smiled at him, and we had dinner together. Then we went to sleep. The next day, I woke up and found myself in my room. I looked quickly in the mirror and screamed with happiness. Everything had returned to how it was, and I felt renewed inside my body. I got dressed and went downstairs. I found my father waiting for me in the dining room, saying, "Good morning, my dear. Let's have breakfast together." I smiled happily and had breakfast with my father. Since then, my father has been very concerned about me, and we sit together and talk about everything. This is what I wanted, to feel my father's presence beside me. And here, my friends, my story ends. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in a new story.